For years, my grandmother was the pillar of our town. Even as she hit her late 80s, her mind remained as sharp as a briar, though her heart was starting to fail. My cousin Marcus, a pharmacist, moved in to care for her. We all felt a collective sense of relief. Marcus was the golden boy, meticulous, professional, and devoted. Every evening at 7 p.m. sharp, he would bring her a small glass of water and her evening pills. I'd visit on Fridays, and she would always insist we play a game of gin rummy. Over the course of 6 months, she started to fade. It wasn't a sudden drop, but a slow, foggy decline. She'd lose her train of thought mid-sentence. Her hands, once steady enough to needlepoint, began to shake. Marcus told us it was sundowning, a natural part of late-stage heart failure affecting the brain. He was so patient with her, even when she would get agitated and knock her cards off the table. One Friday, Marcus had to run to the pharmacy to cover a shift. He asked me to give her the evening dose. 1 white, 1 blue, he said. Don't mix them up or she gets dizzy. I went to her room. She was sitting by the window, looking more vacant than I'd ever seen her. When I held out the pills, she didn't take them. Instead, she pointed at her gin rummy deck. I figured she wanted one last game while she was still lucid. As I dealt the cards, she didn't pick hers up. She just stared at the deck. Then, with a trembling hand, she reached out and pushed the 8 of diamonds toward me. I smiled. You want to start with the 8, Grandma? She shook her head. She pushed the 8 of diamonds back into the deck, searched through the cards, and pulled out the 8 of spades. She laid it next to the first one, then the 8 of hearts, then the 8 of clubs. 4 8s? I asked. That's a good set. She looked me dead in the eye, a flash of the old, sharp woman I knew, and tapped the 8s. Then she pointed at the blue pill on the nightstand. She held up 8 fingers. I looked at the pill. It was a standard 5 milligram blood thinner. I looked back at her. She took the blue pill, mimicked swallowing it, and then made a face like she was falling asleep, over and over. 8, 8, 8. My stomach dropped. Marcus was a pharmacist. He knew dosages better than anyone. The next morning, while Marcus was in the shower, I took one of those blue pills to a different pharmacy in the next town over. I didn't tell them who I was. I just asked what it was. The pharmacist frowned. This is a 20 milligram dose of a heavy sedative. It looks like the blood thinner, but it's a completely different compound. Who is taking this? At this age, 8 of these a week would keep someone in a permanent state of cognitive collapse. It's essentially chemical restraint. I realized then why Marcus wanted her foggy. He had been managing her estate, selling off her antique jewelry and land parcels, claiming she had given him permission during her clear moments. If she stayed confused, she couldn't question the signatures he was forging. I didn't go back to the house alone. I went back with the police. When they walked in, Marcus was in the kitchen, carefully measuring her medication. When he saw me, he didn't even fight it. He just sat down and put his head in his hands. I went to my grandmother's room. She was sitting by the window. I didn't give her the pill. I gave her the deck of cards. She took the 4 8s, tucked them back into the deck, and for the first time in months, she dealt the cards with a hand that didn't shake. She looked at me, squeezed my hand, and whispered 2 words. Your deal.